Fallout 76 may only be months away, but it's never not the right time for more Skyrim facts. What's going on, guys? It's Nate here, and yes, Skyrim is indeed a massive game, with so many hidden Easter eggs, jokes, and references that even over half a decade, not all of them are universally known. But we take that as a challenge over here. So today, we'll be taking a look at yet another 10 tiny details you may still have missed in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Part 25. Starting off, in previous videos we've already established that it's possible to stumble upon circles of mushrooms in Skyrim's wilderness. Such a natural phenomenon occurs in the real world as well, and these are referred to as fairy or pixie circles by some. Well, such a beautiful name is greatly contradicted by what you can find in one of Skyrim's own fairy circles in the far western border of Falkreath. Here lies a circle of mushrooms surrounding a bloodied skull next to a staff and copy of the archery skill book, Father of the Nebin, with a glass arrow sticking out of it. How such a scene was assembled and who moved all these mysterious objects here is quite a spooky mystery. Hell, I'd like to know whose skull that belonged to be honest. Also, where's the rest of the body? Was this the site of a strange necromantic ritual gone wrong? Or perhaps the training ground for a very unfortunate failed mage? Whatever happened here, the mushrooms aren't talking. Next on our list, a character's facial expression will change depending on whether or not enemies are nearby. Normally, players and NPCs will maintain a pretty standard and calm-looking, if you will, facial expression. However, when facing opponents, that expression will change to resemble more of an angry wince to better highlight the fact that combat isn't fun. Now, what I find so interesting is that Khajiit characters actually have a bit of a unique quirk to their facial expressions whenever they're in combat compared to other races. Pay attention to the Khajiit's ears. Normally, they're quite perky, standing at attention. However, when the Khajiit is approached by a hostile character and has an angry expression, those ears will fall and be perked backwards, resembling the behavior of cats in the real world when they're angry. I find it to be oddly adorable. Coming in at number 3, Andari is the Altmer co-owner and shopkeeper of the Radiant Raiment, a clothing store in Solitude. What's most notable about Andari is her terrible attitude towards pretty much everybody. Even as a customer, when you approach her at the shop's counter, she'll treat you with a huge amount of disrespect, and even refers to some of her patrons as pigs. She's got quite a sour personality. Well, evidently, she may not be such a bad person at her core. As if the player sneaks into the home of Bryleen, one of Solitude's thanes, there's a chance you may overhear the following conversation between her and her housecarl, Inskar Ironhand.
Milady, I'm pleased to inform you that you have a new gown for court, specially tailored by Madame Andari.
Really? How did we afford that? Besides, I like the gown I already have.
Madame Andari insisted. She made it free of charge, in honor of your lenience about last month's rent discrepancies.
That was suspiciously nice of her. I thought she hated everyone.
She does, my lady. But apparently she hates you just a little less than the others.
It appears despite her abhorrent words, there's still some good left in Andari. Maybe we shouldn't have judged this book by its cover. Or its pages. For a fourth spot, I'd like to introduce you to Geld the Younger. He's a Nord miner living at Kynesgrove, and is a son of Geld. Yes, the two share the same name, the owner of the mine and leader of the settlement, as well as his wife, Ijara, who runs the village's inn. Well, there's something a bit strange about Geld the Younger. You see, he seems to behave a bit childish for his age. He uses dialogue similar to that of children in the game itself, and he can even be overheard having immature arguments with his parents about things like bullying his sister and telling tall tales that seem as though they can only stem from the imagination of a child.
I've never seen you before. Leave me alone. My pa runs this town, and you're going to be in big trouble if you mess with me. You don't look so tough. I'll bet I could take you.
It's unclear why exactly the man behaves in this fashion. It's possible his parents simply babied him for too long, though that seems unlikely, considering he has a sister who appears to be just fine and perfectly well-adjusted and developed. Or likely he suffers from a disability. Whatever the reason, an interesting social commentary by Bethesda, nonetheless. Halfway through at number 5, Arbjorn is a member of the Dark Brotherhood's Falkreath Sanctuary. He's most notable for being the husband of Astrid, the Brotherhood's leader, and he's also a werewolf himself. Interestingly, before becoming an assassin, Arbjorn was a member of the Companions in Whiterun, where he picked up his lycanthropic abilities. Unfortunately for him, he was kicked out for what he calls his own unorthodox methods, meaning he probably murdered a lot of people to death. Normally when spoken to, Arbjorn won't be particularly friendly to the Dragonborn. In fact, he can be a bit rude even. However, if the player has progressed far enough throughout the companion's questline that they are in fact a werewolf themselves, a member of the guild's inner circle by the time of meeting Arbjorn, some new dialogue will be unlocked, where Arbjorn immediately recognizes your gift and offers a bit more insight regarding his own past.
I might ask the same of you, for you are more than mortal. You are Moonborn. You are Wolf. So, you're a companion then. I can't imagine you got your gift anywhere else. I hope you have better luck with them than I did. Oh yes, I was once brother to the companions. Let's just say they found my methods unsettling. The Dark Brotherhood, obviously, feels differently.
Our sixth spot is less of a tiny detail and more of an interesting fact. Cerana is one of the game's most popular followers, right up there with Lydia. Introduced with the Dawnguard DLC, this vampiric companion is known for her rather quirky personality and key role she plays throughout the Dawnguard's questline. Well, she wasn't always so popular. Shortly after the Dawnguard DLC dropped, many players were actually frustrated with how generic of a follower she felt. So Bethesda did something interesting. They had an unorthodox solution. They had decided to set Cerana's code to make her more likely and able to engage with specific interaction points, or actors as they're called in the creation kit. What an interaction or actor point is a specific marker in the game world, where NPCs can perform a special animation. So nearby blacksmith forges, there's an interaction point that allows certain characters to perform the hammering animation. Or at market stalls, there's an interaction point that enables characters to look like they're browsing and shopping. Now, normally, these interaction points can only be used by certain NPCs, and the NPCs that do use them are coded not to do it too often. However, Bethesda, in an effort to make Cerana more interesting, made it possible for her to interact with pretty much any actor point in the game, and let it happen quite frequently. This is the reason why you'll commonly see her hammering away at a blacksmith forge or stopping by fires, unlike most followers. It's quite amusing. Seventh, we're in fact going to keep talking about Cerana, as we have another fact about her. You see, despite being completely essential throughout the game, and entirely unkillable, no matter how much damage she takes or where you progress in the storyline, believe it or not, if you disable Cerana's essential status with console commands and proceed to kill her, she'll have dialogue that corresponds to her death, usually screaming "no" or a similar voiced line. This is obviously a bit odd. As if Bethesda never intended for Cerana to be able to die, they never would have bothered to assign her such a phrase, suggesting that at one point or another in development, the developers may have intended to kill her off, or allow her death to come. But evidently they must have had a change of heart, and one of our favorite vampires can stay with us for as long as we like. Next, most shopkeepers and business owners in Skyrim aren't afraid to be a bit morally questionable in how they run their businesses and lives. Heck, we just covered a high elf who's best known for verbally assaulting her customers. Well, I'd like to introduce you to one man who stands above the rest. Meet Rev Ansari. He's a Dunmer shopkeeper who owns a small pawn shop he calls Sadri's Used Wares. He's quite a humorous character, as when you speak to him, you'll notice he takes tremendous pride in his own personal honesty, and the fact that every item in his store was legitimately acquired, i.e. not stolen. Alas, should you press the man, he'll confess that a ring he purchased from a traveler seems to bear some major similarities to one that was lost by one of Windhelm's citizens, and will task you with returning it. Now, the quest isn't sending you on an adventure akin to the Epic of Gilgamesh, but where most side quests are actually requiring you to be the one doing the stealing, or even murdering innocent people to death, I found Rev Ansari to be offering a surprisingly wholesome task compared to all the rest. Getting close to the end here at number 9, the Dwarven ruins of Blackreach are a mysterious place. Once a mighty center of Dwemer civilization, now a shell of its former self, inhabited by their Falmer successors and the monstrosities that they've raised. Well, something I found quite telling of Dwemer society down here is that in Blackreach, you can actually stumble upon the ruins of what looks to be an ancient gladiatorial arena. There's a large stage for potential combat, and nearby seating, with special chairs for particularly important figures, perhaps the former leaders of this once mighty society. Additionally, nearby the stage is a lever that when pulled will unleash dwarven spinning blades upon it. it, making it possible that perhaps this wasn't just a gladiatorial arena. Maybe it was used for executions of some sort, as no one has a real chance against those Dwemer spinning blades. The stage floor even has a small bloodstain, suggesting that someone found that out the hard way. Now, whether or not that bloodstain is recent by perhaps a curious Falmer, or just some really old ancient dwarven blood, is a question that's as lost as the Dwemer civilization itself. And finally, last on our list, we have an interesting hidden treasure. Just north of North Brittleshin Pass in the Falkreath Hold lies a tipped-over hollowed-out tree, inside of which is, strangely, a strongbox with an apprentice-level lock and a small sum of loot hidden inside, depending on your level. From the looks of it, this is likely someone's hidden away stash. Perhaps it belongs to one of the bandits inside of Brittleshin Pass. Well, but now it belongs to you. But with that, we're going to wrap up. Yet another 10 tiny details you may have missed in the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Thanks for watching, everyone. Which of the details on this list were your own personal favorites? And what tiny details, Easter eggs, or references do you know of that I have yet to cover so far? Leave a comment down below. As always, like ratings are very much appreciated. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I hope to catch you all in my next video. Peace out, everybody.